Hi everyone, it's Suzanne Wagner, and we are doing a Numerology and Astrology for March 19th, 2022. If you add all those numbers together, you get the number 19, and if you add the 1 and the 9 together, you get the number 10, or if you add the 1 and the 0 together, you get the number 1. Now, these numbers are sort of always inseparably balanced between each other, but we have a tendency to swing on a pendulum from one side to the other. So the number 10 is all about power and radiance. The number 1 is all about humility, authenticity, and vulnerability. One is the first one, the 10 is like Alexander the Great, and the 1 is like the Dalai Lama. Now, while these can work together, they can also be separated. To me, a leader who had all the qualities is one that is to me, a leader who has all the qualities is one worthy to be followed. And a leader that leans towards power for the manifestations of greed and cruelty is a very dangerous person if they lack humility and authenticity. We see examples of the polarity of these two numbers too often in our modern world leaders. But when they manage to come together, that is where the greatest manifests in ways that can stand the test of time. In life, culturally, we lean towards the manifestations of power, and some will do anything and go through others to get it. Real power is humble, like the Dalai Lama. It cares and is concerned. It walks and moves from a place of center rather than pomp and ceremony. We need such leaders desperately at this time, and we need those leaders to come together because that is what will become a massive wave of change that will allow for a better balance in our world to finally manifest. Okay, the astrology today. The moon has shifted into Libra, and it gives us a chance to see things from an objective viewpoint. That might be a good thing, but it might be hard to deal with. No matter what, be fair and notice those places that are judgmental and want to project one's own insecurities onto others. Uranus and Venus square, and that feels like a standoff between the superpowers. Struggles continue unabated, and there are games that are designed to intentionally cause more fear and upsets. This is where we begin to feel the pinch and experience significant patterns that can cause some to suffer. The bells of freedom are trying to sound over the destructive forces of bombs and missiles. There are those that move from a reactive resentment and impulsive egomania. These are the motions of desperation and can lead to massive casualties and mistakes. The human economic toll is not something that some care about or even consider in their desire for conquest. Underneath, more forces are aligning that intend to cause instability and undermine the totalitarian regimes of those whose wanton destruction is causing a roar of internal discontent. The ranks are in the process of collapse, but those that oppose the revelation of truths will be quietly terminated to maintain control over a collapsing system. It will ultimately fail, but those in power are willing to drag it out and even make his own people the victims of his unfair grasp for more power. Because of the instability of this astrology, it is wise to wait before making big decisions. Be more careful with finances and know that big expenses need to be looked at with suspicion rather than chosen from impulse. Overall, many activities feel unsatisfying and vacuous. It is hard to concentrate when so many are fighting for their very lives. It is hard to look at a world that has leaders with such carelessness for their own people and the lives that they have created. It may be impossible to feel relaxed and calm when so many are suffering. Sometimes hearts need to break before we finally change. Thanks, everyone.